There was a period we couldn't be intimate for months because she said she was on a white fast and making love will make her dirty. Hello, it's another weekend and you're welcome to Life Stories with Bussy. I want to say thank you for joining me. I just want to say thank you to my returning subscribers. Thank you. You know how it goes here. If this is your first time on Life Stories with Bussy, Bussy is your sister from another mother. That person that you can tell your story to. Sometimes when you don't want to confide in your friends or you don't want to confide in family, when you need an unbiased opinion, you just need someone else, apart from the regular people that you know. A lot of people have been able to find a pathway going forward from, sharing their problems on this program. They've been able to get wise counsel from comments that are left in the comment section. We would like you to comment. You see, that comment is very, very important because that's what the person reads. That's what the person who has sent in his or her story reads. That's what they go through. Lots of comments that have been given. I have some regular people who leave their comments, and I'm grateful that you do that because it really helped a lot of people. People are getting a pathway on the way to go, on the next steps to take. A lot of people who have sent in their stories already have answers to their issues. It's like there's a light on it now and it is clearer. Okay, so today I have a story and it's like a rejoinder from a story that I told. I think this was like 2 weeks ago, about the story about the lady whose husband said that she should submit a salary or she should resign. That story, that's where I kind of lost it because I really was tired of hearing all those kind of stories. But this is like a rejoinder, and this person is just trying to put everything in perspective, and I appreciate that the person actually wrote in to do that. And it goes, "Good day, Madam Bussy." Thank you very much, sir, for writing in. He said, "I stopped my wife from going to a church. I commanded it, and it was either she agreed and submitted the decision or the marriage ends." I'm sure people are already like, what's that? But I mean, come along so you'll understand the reason why I had to do that. It said, "Thank you for all the stories. I like the video that you did about what submission means. And I agree with you that submission and love go hand in hand." Thank you very much, sir. "I want to have that submission stroke love is subjective to each couple's experiences." So he said, "I had to ban my wife from going to some certain churches. If she's the one sending this message, she will say, 'My husband has stopped me from going to my church.' The world will call it control, but I will tell you the story." So he starts his story. He says, "I come from a Baptist home. I believe in God. I read my Bible. I pray, and I rely on God for all my decisions. When I was growing up, my father told me a story about how his family disintegrated because of his parents' religious belief. He told me then that anything that doesn't have a basis from the Bible, it is not needed, and I have lived my life like that. My sisters introduced my wife, Oyenike, to me. We were living in the same area, so I knew her from the neighborhood. She was like their age mate, and I was older. So we're not really friends until she gained admission into the same university I was in. At that point, I had to be the elder brother. From there, I realized she was a good girl, and I started talking to her about dating me. She accepted and we're good. In the course of the relationship, in my final year, I realized she used to follow her friends to see some prophets on Orioles. Orioles are like these prayer mountains. I'm sure some people who go to such places know what I mean. Prayer mountains where, there's a pastor where you go and pray, things like that. And they see all manner of visions, I didn't grow up like that, and I wasn't keen on it. I had a discussion with her, and I could tell it was something that she believed in. At that point, I started withdrawing from her. She noticed and started begging me. She told my sisters, who called my mother, and they all started pleading with me. I told them that I didn't want a woman who would be running from pillar to post in the name of looking for miracles. I wasn't wired like that. We came back together and we eventually got married. Our first son, Yemi, was born, and it was a baby like any other baby until it was a year plus. We started noticing he wasn't smiling, he would get upset unnecessarily and things like that. My wife was initially concerned, but I said it was nothing to be afraid of. When Yemi was 3 years plus, he was officially diagnosed of autism. That was when my wife started. She said it was the enemies, like she always knew it, blah, blah, blah. I'd read up on it. I'd ask necessary questions, and we just have to do what we can to make sure that we help our son. She wasn't really persuaded, but I made sure that I was always available and eager for anything that would help Yemi live normally. I didn't want my child to be labeled or ostracized. When she got pregnant again, she would pray from morning till night, night to morning, disturbing the whole house. I scolded her sometimes that it wasn't a healthy habit, especially since she was pregnant. Then she told me she wanted to resign from her office, and I asked her why. She said in her church that the vision they had was that our boss was the one behind the misfortune of our son Yemi, and that if she didn't want her unborn children to be like Yemi, she has to resign. Oh. Please. Let me read that again. She said she wanted to resign, and I asked why. She said in her church that the vision that they had was that our boss was the one behind the misfortune of our son Yemi, and if she didn't want her unborn children to be like Yemi, she has to resign. I couldn't believe it. This was an educated woman. I told her that it was unreasonable, but guess what? She went to confront her boss at work, called her a witch. She was sent to face the disciplinary committee, and she was dismissed. I was so embarrassed because I knew her boss. She was a very pleasant lady. I didn't raise any issue because she was 6 months gone, and she was planning to go on maternity leave anyway. I figured that after she had the baby, we would sort out the issue about her job. She started going for morning service, midday service, evening service, and practically every day she was at different churches. She went from one special program to another. Hey, note, we go to church together on weekdays and on Sundays, but it didn't stop her from going to those other places. I didn't like it, and I raised it with her that was the reason why I didn't want to settle with her initially. She said that she didn't know why I was bothering myself, and that there was no crime in praying for the family. Then she had twins, and the twins were fine. They grew up normally, no issues. And then she kept saying that it was her prayer that saved the twins. If not, they would have ended up like Yemi, our first son. I never bothered to answer her because I was becoming irritated with her line of thought. Then she started bringing holy water to sprinkle around the house. I even learned that she paid for prayers. I even learned she paid for prayers, as in pay for prayers. The so-called prophets were borrowing money from her and never returning the money. I stumbled on some messages on her phone. I'm talking millions of naira, and she doesn't work. All from my hard-earned money. This one is serious. So. I warned her so many times, and she said that it's the devil working through me to stop her. Hey, God. I warned her not to include my children in all that shenanigans. One of our prophets came to the house. They said they needed to come and pray for the house, that darkness was lurking in the corners of the house. I bluntly refused. Not with my house that I built with my sweat. I told the man that I would get him arrested for trespassing. When the man left, my wife made a lot of fuss about me disrespecting her visitors. There was a period we couldn't be intimate for months because she said she was on a white fast. There was a period we couldn't be intimate for months because she said she was on a white fast and making love will make her dirty. I shook my head. That was how low a graduate had degenerated into. This was what broke the camel's back. I got a contract that made me travel a lot, so I was always away on weekdays. I would normally travel on Sundays after church and be back on Friday. So this particular week, I traveled on Sunday and came back on a Wednesday. Now, I usually call in the morning and evenings to check on them when I'm not around. So I spoke to my wife on Wednesday morning. My decision to travel was impromptu. I called her and her phone was switched off, so I just sent a message. I got back home to meet only Yemi and his nanny at home. The nanny told me my wife left immediately I left on Sunday evening to the church, and she took the twins with her. I kept calling her line, but it was switched off. I didn't even know which church she was going to at that time because she had changed from one church to the other and had lost count. Later in the day, at about the time that I would normally call her in the evening, I called again and her phone was switched on. She picked up the phone and I didn't shout or anything. I asked where she was. She said she was at home. I asked about the children. She said that they were fine. I asked if Yemi's therapist had visited. She said that the man did not come. So I said I wanted to do a video call with the children. She said her phone battery was low. Then I told her that I was at home, and if she knew what was good for her, she should bring my children back home immediately. Hi. When she came back, she said she went for Abiabu. Abiabu is like a deliverance retreat, like a retreat time out in the church, something like that. So she said she went for Abiabu. I was livid. I told her to take a look at herself in the mirror, looking wretched like she wasn't taken care of. I said a whole graduate doing nothing with her life but going from one church to another to enrich other people's purse. I was like, what's chasing you up and down? I work hard and God blesses us. She had my ATM card with her. Money was at her disposal. I don't cheat on her. She knows everything about me. I'm an open book. Why did she just want to stress me and destroy the life that we had built? Get a job she didn't get. Think about a business you can run. Supermarket, beauty shop, baby shop, something. No, just going from church to church. Hey. In the middle of the argument with her, she mentioned that my mother and sisters were witches. Jesus. And that they were the ones behind Yemi being autistic. Ha! Bussy. It took, the man said, ha! Bussy. It took the grace of God to restrain me from slapping her. Imagine. Because how the people who pleaded with me to marry her will become her enemies was way beyond my understanding. My mother loves my wife. My mother believes she has 3 daughters. Whatever she does for my sisters, she does for my wife. I remember telling my mother my wife was going from church to church. My mother tried to justify it and told me that there was nothing wrong with prayers and prayers wasn't too much. My wife can never do anything wrong in front of my mother. Imagine my mother and sister hearing that. Isn't that the end of peace in the family? I didn't have anything to say to her. After that, I realized there was no point. I called her family members and in front of them, I told them I forbid her to go to any church. If she wouldn't go to the church we attend together, the marriage was off. I told them I was doing it in the interest of my marriage, family, and sanity. So you see why I said submission, love is subjective. Another person will see it and say that it is control. Hey, gosh. Please, women, let's not overdo. This woman tried, man. I don't even know what to say. This woman really tried, though, and this man really tried. Wow. Why would you have a life? You don't have a life. The only thing that you do is go from church to church. Morning service, you are there. Midweek service. Whole graduate, you abandon everything about you. Left work. Initially, you said that it was your boss that was behind your child's misfortune, and it's not a misfortune, it's a disorder. Initially, you said it was your boss that was behind your child misfortune. That was what you called it, misfortune. Then you now said it's now your mother-in-law and your sister-in-laws. Hey, madam, you should be banned from going to church. Yes, banned from going to church. In fact, stay at home, do online service, stop going anywhere. It's enough. The one that you have done is enough. So thank you very much for sharing with us. I actually agree that it's subjective to your relationship. Because in your own case, I mean, it was obvious. This was hurting your marriage and you had to put a stop to it. You know, it was becoming an unreasonable situation and you had to put a stop to it. And it was good that you did that, because if not, I mean, I don't know what would have happened, because what more these people would have told her. You know, so I get that. Yeah, I get that it's subjective. But in the case of that other lady, they didn't have that arrangement before, that she was going to be submitting her salary. That wasn't an arrangement before. It was something that just popped up because she refused to get a loan for her husband. And because she said that she couldn't afford to get a loan, because she was maintaining her husband's car, she was paying house rent, she was paying school fees, she was maintaining her own car and all that. And she said that she didn't even have any savings. So what money would she use to pay a loan? I mean, before you get a loan, you have to know how you want to pay it back. And she wasn't going to get him a loan. And her husband felt like she didn't want to do it. So her husband decided to be interesting. And so what he did was he said, submit your salary or resign. Now the question is, why would she resign? Resign. She don't have a job. So she's been the one that has been taking care of the home. Options that the man gave were really like manipulative options. Give me the salary or you resign. Why would you want to collect a salary? It wasn't something that you were doing before. It was, and this lady was, I mean, she was taking care of the home, you know. So in their own case was a different case. And I get that for different couples it's different things. Yeah, it's something that you people have agreed on. If, for instance, you have a joint account and you say, oh, you want to put money, you want to put this money or that money inside the joint account. Yeah, that's different. But not that I collect my salary and then you tell me that I should bring it to you. That was the whole bone of contention of that story, you know. But thank you very much for writing it. I really, really do appreciate. I appreciate that you wrote in. You didn't say where you are now with your wife, but I really hope that things are going smoothly. Women, please don't let us overdo. Some things are just overdoing things. Why? Guys, I'll be in the comment box. Let's discuss this whole story. So next time when I come your way again, my name remains Busola Dele-Davids.